Hi guys, I'm back with a new video and let's talk about Monkey Man. So this film was a whole journey, not only for me but actually in terms of developing this film. I saw an interview with Dev Patel and Jordan Peele that this has been in the works for a long time, and for me personally, I should have watched this one last week, but the things with the screening, sometimes they go wrong, and so I was only able to watch this one yesterday. Still pretty early compared to most people. This one is actually coming out this week here as well as everywhere else, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm happy that I can talk about a film that is coming out on time for everyone and everyone can enjoy it and talk about, and we can all share what we thought about this film. Besides that, this was one of those films that I think having Jordan Peele's name attached to this film made the film more like people wanted to watch it more because of that. I actually watched the trailer when it came out and I was like, I don't know, this one looks pretty simple. And my thought right away was this is like a different version of John Wick, like a John Wick set in another country. Even though John Wick takes place in a lot of countries, but yeah, with a different culture, I would say. And so I'm here to tell you if I was right when I first watched the trailer and if it's worth your time. So let's get into the video. So having in mind that I thought this was really similar to John Wick, you can kind of figure out what the plot is, but I'm gonna tell you that this is about a young man that fights in an underground fight club and he finds a way to get into the elite group in order to revenge his childhood. That's basically it. The movie stars and is directed by Dev Patel, but it also stars a lot of other actors, which I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna pronounce the other actor's name because they're all Indian or from that culture, and I'm sure I'm gonna butcher everyone's name. And personally, I don't really recognize any other face, but I'm sure there's some of you that will recognize some of the faces in this film, but to me it was only Dev Patel. Yeah. So I guess that those are the basics of the film, and now let's get to my thoughts. So this is one of those cases that it pays off not having a lot of expectations for the film. I thought it looked good, like the trailer, but I thought the story was pretty simple and it looked like, just as I said, another, like a different John Wick, which at the end of the day it is. But because I didn't really have high expectations, I was able to just enjoy the film, and it was pretty much what I was expecting from it. Although this is way better executed, directed, and in general the technical aspects of the film are really good, and I think that's one of the things that makes this one stand out. Obviously, I'm sorry if I'm just comparing this way too much to John Wick, but it is pretty similar. And John Wick is also really well shot and has good camera movements and good score and all of that. But this one has those things, but in a different way. I don't really know how to explain that, but I feel like it's because John Wick, at least the last ones, they have a way bigger budget and it shows on camera. This feels like a really well executed like small indie film, which we love. Like small indie films are like, if they can do it well, they are really good. And I think this is one of those cases. And the other thing that I think makes this one unique is the cultural aspects. As I said, this is set in a different country. I think it is set in India. And yeah, you just see more of the Indian culture. And that just makes this one way different than any of the other films, and different than John Wick, because it has a lot of that culture, which is something that we don't see a lot in film, and not when it's mixed with the action genre. So I really like that. I liked seeing a different culture, different way to do things, and yeah, I like that. In terms of the story, as I said, it's pretty simple. There's not a lot to it. It's basically what I said in the beginning of the video. But I loved the 30 minutes of the film. Like the first 30 minutes have that spy edge to it, that he wants to infiltrate the elite, as I said. And I really like that. I was super engaged in those first 30 minutes. Then the movie takes a turn and it doesn't go exactly where I thought it would go, which I liked, but at the same time it kind of lost me. I just wasn't as engaged with like the middle portion of the film. But then again, the ending just amps up everything. There are a lot of fight sequences, and the second to last is so good, and I think it's that good because of the soundtrack. Like the score, the sound design, the soundtrack, I think it's what I like the most about this film. I feel like lately I've been paying attention, like a lot of attention, to the songs and to the sound in general, and this one just, yeah, it just gives that extra like up to the film. I think the score and the soundtrack was perfectly chosen, like it fits perfectly. What I wasn't super into was the editing. Like it felt way too much, way too fast paced. I kind of get it. It kind of like mirrors the culture and the location, because I felt like, and that's maybe that's not right, but it's the idea that I have. It's that India is like, there's so much going on and there's so many people, so many things, and it feels kind of a chaotic place. So the editing reflects that, maybe, but at the same time I couldn't really see a lot of things. Like it was everything so mixed together, to like, yeah, I don't know, I too blurred out, because the editing was really fast paced. That's the thing that I just didn't really enjoy. But maybe that was because I was kind of tired while I was watching it. But yeah, that didn't keep me from not enjoying the film. And I'm actually gonna watch it again. So I'm excited to see if I still find it a bit chaotic, a bit messy. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. And lastly, of course, I had to talk about Dev Patel. Not only his acting was really good, but also I think he did a really good job directing the film. And like, if I'm not mistaken, he did most of the stunts, which is super impressive, and even broke his hand or his arm in one of those fight sequences. And yeah, I thought he was great. Everyone was great, but he was like the standout. Obviously, the movie, he is in like, I would say even 100% of the shots, but yeah, he is in like 99% of the scenes. So yeah, at the end of the day, I enjoyed it. It was what I was expecting, sort of. I was on the fence with it because it looked way too similar to John Wick. And it is pretty similar to John Wick, but again, as I said, it has a different touch to it, which makes it different enough for me. So if you like John Wick, you will definitely like this film, and I totally recommend it because, yeah, I think it's a good time and it's a well put together film. So yeah. Post that, let's get to my scores. So overall, I'm gonna give the film a 3.5 out of 5. It's not quite a 4 because, yeah, the story is pretty standard. It's really basic and there's not a lot of like different moments to it. And even though there's one or two things that I thought were interesting, yeah, it's a pretty standard story, and as I said multiple times, really, really similar to John Wick. But it's still a good film, so yeah, not quite a 4, but definitely a 3.5. Cinematography, I also give it a 3.5 out of 5. I thought the movie looked great. It's just the editing that was a bit much for me. And originality, I give it a 3 out of 5 again, because the story is simple. It's not super original. It's just the Indian touch, the cultural touch that makes it a bit more original. So it's not a like middle of the road, it's just slightly above because it's something that we don't see a lot. But yeah, as I said, it's a really basic story. So guys, these are my thoughts on Monkey Man. This one comes out in cinemas either on the 4th or the 5th. It depends where you are. So yeah, if you end up watching it, let me know in the comments what you thought. This, I think, also premiered at the South by Southwest film festival. If not that one, another film festival. So by any chance you got the chance to watch it, also tell me in the comments what you thought. And yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!